First, the Antonio Smith thing. It's the ultimate in irony, right?
I said last night, of all the great...
Antonio Brown, sorry.
Of all the great things that happened in both of those games yesterday, and there were a lot of great things, that Antonio Brown streaming live while his head coach is saying to stay off social media, that is the greatest thing that happened in the NFL yesterday. It is by far. And then we saw Aaron Rodgers at the height of his powers. We saw Andy Reid go full Andy Reid. All of that pales in comparison to this story of Antonio Brown streaming live as his coach is talking about staying off social media, and he's smiling and laughing, looking at the camera like it's like otherworldly.
Yes.
It is the greatest thing that happened in the NFL yesterday.
Okay, you spoke of Andy Reid going full Andy Reid. Go.
As he always does, man. I'm with you. I thought, early on, I thought, okay, and I know a lot of people coming into this game, Andy Reid coming off a bye week. You think that he's been so money in that situation for so long. But what I think a lot of people forgot, including myself, is what you were talking about. This is the Chiefs in the playoffs. This is Andy Reid in the playoffs. I guess that trumps Andy Reid coming off a bye week.
And it's Alex Smith.
And it's Alex Smith, although I will say I think Alex Smith gets a bit of a bum rap because you don't know how much is Alex Smith doing the Alex Smith stuff, and you don't know how much is Andy Reid saying, look, don't push it downfield. Or, keep it horizontal.
And they don't have
they don't have a true vertical thread.
They don't. They don't have a true big, their big play wide receiver is Travis Kelce, who's a tight end.
Exactly. And I do think, in that regard, Alex Smith gets probably a little bit more grief than he should get. But I do get how it can be frustrating. Let alone, just as an NFL observer / fan, whatever, I can't imagine being a Chiefs fan when you're watching all these other teams that really kind of push the ball downfield in today's NFL, where there are these extremely liberalized passing rules. And then you got the Chiefs who kind of work horizontally at all times.
Okay, so I don't think it's a choke, though. I just think that's who they are. That's who they've been, and they've won all these close games. And when there's a much more slight margin for error. If that's how you win, that's eventually how you're going to lose. It's like the old live by it, die by it.
Absolutely. And when your defense is doing the job it did yesterday, as far as limiting the explosiveness of the Steelers, who we've seen can absolutely light people up in no time flat. Look at that Dolphins game. It took like 30 seconds for them to be in the end zone. That's yeoman's work by the defense. Your offense has got to come to play. And again, like you said, in the playoffs, just another egg.
All right, let's get to the Packers game. You were there.
I was.
I will tell you what it felt like here, okay, in my on my living room couch.
Right.
It felt over early. It felt...
Yeah, when it was 21-3?
When it was 21-3,
right. And
I actually thought the biggest play that allowed the Cowboys to get back into the game was the muffed kickoff because it was a 94-second drive by the Cowboys to make it 21-10.
Yep.
And then... was it Christine Michael made his best play as a Cowboy, even though he was wearing...
He was with the Packers.
He was with the Packers. Previously with the Cowboys,
boy.
as he muffs a kickoff that he didn't have to catch. You don't have to catch the ball.
And everyone on the Cowboys sideline, or at least maybe up in the coach's box, is thinking, yep, that's why. That's why.
And then the Packers got super concerned. First play from scrimmage, they try and run the football. and it was like, all right, why don't you just take a knee?
Well, and that was the thing, because I'm with you. I thought, okay, yes, the Cowboys have now scored, but okay, Aaron Rodgers is going to get the ball, and he
was in a very good rhythm.
He was in a really good rhythm, something that hadn't happened the last 2 weeks, as far as their offense coming out, really kind of stubbing their toe against the Giants and the Lions. They came out exactly as they had to against the Cowboys and moving up and down the field. So you thought, okay, the Cowboys have scored, but Rodgers is going to get the ball here, and he's going to march it right back down. But the fact that they had to start backed up in the end zone, Mike did go into a bit of a shell, play calling wise, and then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened, and then it was a game.
It was a game after that, and then was it the Cowboys offense or was it the Packers defense finally being exposed, fatiguing and being exposed? What happened in the second half?
Well, I think it's funny because I think in the second half it played much truer to form what I thought was going to happen going in that they were dominating up front with the offensive line. And Dom Capers was in a real bind. And this has kind of been the bind he's been in all year since Sam Shields went down in week 1. He can't get home with 4. Every once in a while, Nick Perry will make a play. Clay Matthews makes a play once a month. Julius Peppers had a really good game against the Giants, but kind of disappeared yesterday. So he's really caught between, all right, I know I have to send pressure if I want to get to the quarterback. But every time he sends pressure, he's leaving these really inexperienced, really, kind of green defensive backs kind of out to dry. And you saw it on the Des Bryant touchdown, that first touchdown up the left sideline. That's Ladarius Gunter. That's the guy coming into the year that was your number 4 corner is now your number 1.
Well, that was actually kind of my point into people are, well, it's not Dak's fault. The defense was bad. I was like, hey, hold on now. They're starting parking attendants at their cornerbacks.
Right.
And look, I thought that Dak played well after the first couple series.
Yes, I agree.
But I just think Tony Romo would have been in attack mode the second he gets in there. I still think that limits you in your play call, either your play calling. There was one time when he forced it downfield, and who was it? Who the ball went right through his? He threw a pick on the very next pass. Anyway,
Bryce let it go through his hands, but then Hyde came and had the interception at the line of scrimmage.
I think some of and you can't. The way to expose Dak is if you can put pressure on him.
Yeah.
His weakness is kind of reloading under pressure, and he's not terribly accurate. And that got exposed a little bit when they got to him. But, all right, so then we get to kind of the end there.
Right.
What were your thoughts on the Cowboys' clock management and whether or not they should have been cognizant of, because, and I've seen you do this before, so I honestly, I don't know if you were tweeting last night during the game. I wasn't looking at it. Okay.
Always.
But you have a tendency, Aaron Nagler joining us in the Doug Gottlieb show. You follow him on Twitter for all things NFL, and especially if you like the Packers, because he does actual breakdowns with all 22 of the Packers, and it's packersnews.com. I've seen you tweet a whole lot of ball game left.
A lot of ball game left.
Right? They kick a field goal with 40 seconds to go. And I tweeted out, a lot of ball game left.
Yep.
It's Aaron Rodgers, there's 2 timeouts, and that Cowboys defense, their secondary stinks. Did you think the Cowboys mismanaged the clock when they tied the game?
I did. I thought they did at the end of both halves. I thought Scott Linehan really kind of outthought himself a few times, especially at the end of the first half. I mean, it didn't come back to bite him in that instance. It did come back to bite him at the end of the game. You've got this offensive line. You've got Zeke Elliott behind the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Ride that horse. I just make them use their timeouts. You don't leave any time for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers said it after the game. They said, what are you thinking when they're kicking that field goal? And he literally said, too much time left.
Yep.